Hello, everyone, and thank you to tuning in to the first podcast for the world of Jeeps.com. My name is Cam Daly, and I am your founder of the world of Jeeps and the only person affiliated with the world of Jeeps. So again, thank you guys for tuning in to my first podcast. This is going to be kind of a broad podcast. I'm kind of going to talk about a variety of topics. I have two topics in mind I'm going to talk about, and then we'll see where it goes from there. So the first topic that I'm going to talk about today is some common Jeep mods, mods that I would recommend doing. Just my opinion on mods, because everyone buys a Jeep stock, or most people buy Jeeps new stock from the factory, just off the dealership lot, and a lot of people don't know what to do with them to make them look cool. So I'm going to be putting my input in on that, and then the second thing that I'm going to be talking about is how to be a Jeep owner, and how to properly use your Jeep. Because most people, when they buy Jeeps, they think it's just like every other car they buy, and it's just a normal car. But actually, when you buy a Jeep, you're buying the car itself, and you're buying yourself into a community, and in order to be in that community, you gotta, live it up to the Jeep life. There are certain things that we do, and just certain things that you have to do as a Jeep owner. And I'm gonna fill everyone in on that. Thank you guys very much. Let's get started. So, our first topic of discussion, Jeep mods. Um, so everyone buys a Jeep from the factory stock. Or not necessarily everyone, some people buy them modded, but I'd say 9 times out of 10 people buy Jeeps stock from the factory. And Jeeps from the factory, I mean, they're pretty cool, they're nice vehicles. But from the factory it comes with, little 29-inch street tires, 17-inch boring rims, no lift, plastic fenders, plastic front and rear bumpers, uh, awful headlights, and it's just not the um, ideal vehicle. It's not necessarily a very ergonomic vehicle. There are a lot of things that can be changed on it, which is exactly why most people buy Jeeps. People buy Jeeps to have fun with them, to mod them, to make it their own. So, my personal Jeep, some mods that I have done, which everything I've done on my Jeep, I am honestly really happy with. So, first thing that I did when I first got my car, probably not the best thing, but I got a front bumper, a Barricade Adventure front bumper off Extreme Terrain. It is a overall nice bumper. It's textured, the paint's textured, which makes it really nice, gives a nice aesthetic appeal. But if I was to go over the process again and buy another Jeep, I would lift it, put wheels and tires on it first. That'd be the first thing I would do. Um, so talking about lift kits. So my personal opinion on lift kits is it depends on what purpose you use your Jeep for. If your Jeep is a daily driver, it's a car to get to work, drive the kids around. If it's getting miles put on it every single day, then you might want to look into a smaller lift, which would correspond to smaller tires or a different kind of tire. But if you want that the enhanced off-roading capability that comes along with a higher lift and bigger tires, then you're going to need to get a higher lift, but there are downfalls to that as well. My personal recommendation is kind of going in the middle, which is sort of what I did. I have a 2.5-inch TerraFlex suspension lift on 35-inch Mickey Thompson MTZ, which stands for Mud Terrain. And then That's paired with 17-inch wheels. My setup is, I give my setup a 7.5, 8 out of 10. There are a lot of pros to it, but there are also a lot of cons to it. I like my lift kit size. I potentially could have gone for a 3-inch lift, may have been a little bit better. 3-inch lift on 35s is probably my recommendation. That's what I would have done. That's overall the best. So when choosing a lift kit, and choosing the appropriate lift kit for your vehicle, um, again, take in the use of your vehicle. Daily driver, smaller lift, smaller tires, more if you want that capability, or the more aggressive look, bigger tires, bigger lift. Some lift companies that I recommend, obviously TerraFlex is what I have. AV is a nice lift kit company. Rock Crawler, Metal Cloak, um, Falcon, Fox. Those are all great brands. One brand I would stay away from is Rough Country, even though they're going to be by far the cheapest. Trust me, spend the more money. It's going to be worth it in the long run. Go for the more expensive, higher end lift kits, because it's just going to make all the difference in the vehicle. All right, so now moving on to tires. Lift kits and tires kind of go hand in hand. The the certain size lift you have corresponds to a certain tire size that you can have. I would say from no lift to probably no lift, you can run, probably the biggest tire size you can run would be a 33. In my opinion, it's a 33. But if you're going to run 33s on no lift, you're not going to be doing any off-roading, because you're just not going to have any clearance, and you're going to need to get new aftermarket fenders to give you that additional clearance that you're going to need just to be able to turn. That is not something that I would recommend. I would say run 31s or 32s if you have no lift kit. If you do have a lift kit, let's say you have a lift kit anywhere from 1 to 2 inch lift kits, I'd say that with 1 to 2 inch lift kits, that's going to allow you to run a more 33-inch tire, and then 2.5-inch, 3.5-inch, 2.5-inch, 3-inch, 3.5-inch are where I would run 35-inch tires, and then 4-inch, 4.5, 5, and then anything up there, 37s, 39s, 40s, 42s, 44s. Yeah, if you really want to get into some massive tires, you're going to need to keep upping that lift size. Now, that's talking about tire size. Talking about what tires to choose, again, that goes back to the purpose of your Jeep and why you bought your Jeep. If it's a daily driver car, a mom car, or working commuter car, something like that, you're not going to want a mud terrain tire. Mud terrain tire is going to be wider, more rubber, it's going to be heavier, it's going to have bigger tread, which is going to create a lot of road noise. Your fuel economy is going to go to garbage. That's just not something you'd want. I would recommend a all-terrain tire. My personal preference in that category would be the BF Goodrich KO2s. That's an all-terrain tire. It has a somewhat aggressive look to it. It doesn't look like a baby tire. It looks nice on the Jeep, and it's good 4 seasons tire. It has a nice price point. I think it's priced, you can probably get it somewhere around 280 a tire. If I was getting it, it'd be 280. That's for my 35-inch tires. I'm not sure about various other tire sizes, but it is, in the world of Jeep tires, it's a fairly priced tire. So that's an all-terrain recommendation. Uh, Obviously, if you live somewhere out where you don't have to worry about four seasons conditions, near the coast where it's warm all year, you could go with more of a street tire. Don't really need an aggressive tread on it, but you can still get that in a big size. But if you want kind of what I wanted, which was a nice aggressive looking tire, I did a mud terrain tire, which is loud. My gas mileage is awful, but it's a sick tire. It looks sweet. I don't get stuck. It's a great tire. Um, wheels. Wheels are not that important, or no. Okay, wheels are important, but they don't play that much of a performance factor in your vehicle. The only comment I have on wheels would be if you're off-roading, go for a smaller wheel so you have more tire. So for climbing obstacles, go for a smaller wheel. Next up, I'm going to be talking about bumpers. Jeeps from the factory come with stock front and rear bumpers. These are stock plastic. They're not the greatest bumpers out there. They don't look that great. Personally, the front bumper was the first mod I did to my Jeep, and I think it looked really well. Bumpers have a functionality, or they have function, but it's not that important. It's almost more of an aesthetic, in my personal opinion. But a front and rear bumper, anywhere from probably $300 to $300 to $600 is a fair price point. And it's going to make the Jeep look a lot better. It's going to give it more of a aggressive tone and just look like that off-road vehicle that it is supposed to be. Next up, I will be talking about lights. My personal Jeep is loaded with lights. I have LED halo headlights, LED fog lights, two 3-inch LED light pods, and a 52-inch light bar. They're all LED. They're all extremely bright. Headlights are potentially, in my opinion, the first mod that you should do to your Jeep, because normal Jeep headlights are awful, and headlights are very important. They're not that expensive. I think I got mine for around $200 off Amazon, and they are doing me really well. Definitely a huge improvement. So for the next topic on this podcast today, I'm going to be talking about how to be a proper Jeep owner. So when you buy the Jeep from the factory, your Jeep salesman should say something about the Jeep community and how you're supposed to wave at all the Jeeps you pass, all the other Wranglers. You're supposed to put two fingers up and wave to everyone. But I'm just going to be talking about more on that. So obviously your salesman is right. When you're in your Wrangler and there's a Wrangler driving at you, the only appropriate thing to do is wave to them in some sort, whether that is putting one finger up, two fingers, your whole hand out the window. If you don't have any doors on, sticking your hand out the side, above the top, anything works, but you gotta wave. The next thing, building on top of that, is how to be how to drive your Jeep, okay? Jeeps are sturdy vehicles. Jeeps can be taken 4 seasons: snow, rain, excessive heat. Take your top and doors off. If it's snowy out, come on. It's a Jeep, 4-wheel drive capable. it's not a sissy car. You're supposed to use it, test its limits. Like, the car is so capable, even stock from the factory. It's such a capable car. Use it, because that's what it's for. And the final thing I'm going to talk about is the Jeep community. Jeep owners always have a common interest. Um, Wave at Jeeps. Wear Jeep shirts. Wear Jeep apparel. Love your Jeep. Park next to other Jeeps. Go to Jeep events. Help out other Jeeps. You ever see another Jeep broken down, stuck? Help it out. The one thing that Jeeps do really well is the community. The Wrangler community is so nice. Anyone else who has a Wrangler, you kind of just have a common connection just by the car you drive, and there are so many people out there that drive Jeep Wranglers, and it's just kind of cool. Thank you guys for tuning in to my podcast. I really appreciate it. Have a good night. Tune back more for another podcast, which will be featuring a guest appearance.